if you lower the taxes, of course, then I can spend more of my money. But but I think it's going to be a much more expensive for my children regarding the school and dentist and so on. So I think it's better for the community in total, so the system. Of course, I miss a lot of money, but in the long term, I think it's better for the community.
So would it be fair to say that you kind of see paying taxes as an investment in your life?
Yeah, it's an investment for me, for my children, and of course for the whole society. It's an investment for Sweden.
But the whole idea is to have common welfare, and then say we pay in the tax system. So the tax system is only there actually to pay for the welfare. And then the idea is that you pay out of how much you have. So the biggest tax here is tax on income. Mm-hmm. And that's a high tax, many people would say. But it's also a tax that goes to paying for, well, everything that's in the welfare system.
So you receive a lot of services from that tax,
yes, exactly,
directly.
Exactly. And it needs to be that way. I think if you end up having some people just paying to the system, not receiving anything, then they will sort of withdraw from it, or they will try to withdraw, meaning that they will try to cover up money in a higher degree than some people are already trying, because of course we also see what all other countries are experiencing. But yeah, like, it needs to be that you get something out of the system and that you believe in the system being good.
I would like to pay less taxes, but because as a doctor I pay a lot of taxes, but I wouldn't want it to go lower and replace it with another system that's not as effective as this one. So I think that it's a good balance, and the main part that if you have more money you can pay more taxes than one with the less money. So I think
the whole idea is, and what we normally call it, is that the biggest shoulders, or the brightest shoulders, should carry the most, and that's the whole idea, that you give sort of what you can. We're using it a bit to make our society more equal, you can say. We don't believe that it should be totally equal. Like, it's fine that there's still people who are rich, but we're trying to make sure that the fewest possible are poor.
Well, globally, we would say that we have middle of the tree tax level in Norway, even though, for instance, value-added tax and other things are things that I know Americans see as a lot higher here in Norway than in the US. But that's one of the policies we have, that we, instead of having just a few very high taxes, we sort of spread them out on all the different parts of the economy to have a broad tax base. But it's been important for us as conservatives on a national level especially to ensure that our tax level doesn't get too high, because if it gets too high we will fall in competitiveness against other countries, because the costs will be too high. So we've been very forward leaning through these 6 years when we've been sitting in government to ensure that some taxes have gone down to keep us competitive. So we have a higher tax base, but we're still, able to finance it through generally a strong economy and very, very high productivity.
I don't think I pay more in taxes than you do in security for your houses. You pay for health insurance and what you pay for education for children, and all of that. I think my taxes is not higher than what a teacher in the United States would pay for all the insurance. But I know what I get for it. I get the same education for my children as everybody else, and it's a good education. You always have to, even though we have a society that takes care of us and everybody gets the same, you have to make it the best. You can't satisfy yourself with, okay, it's good enough. You have to think that we always want the best in healthcare, in education, for our children, in everything. But it is possible, and it works very good.
I'm a working class citizen in Sweden, and I think I pay my fair share to the tax office, and I get my fair share back. For one fight is that I thought about before that the tax was something that was eating my money or what I work for, you know. But when I look at the benefit after, I see that, wow, this is awesome, because whatever I'm paying back to the tax, I'm getting it back in full return, which is when I'm sick, I don't need to go and pay a lot of money to go on operation and all those things. Or when I'm out of job, I don't need to go and sleep on the street or beg, you know what I'm saying? All the money have been put into the system and come back to me in full.
We have a very progressive tax system, so that means that the more you make, the higher percentage of tax you will pay, which is fair. But it's also important that it doesn't get so high that that you, for instance, pass over 50%, even for the very high brackets, because that's when you'll start stopping initiatives and stuff like that, because it has to be progressive, but it has to also be seen as fair. The lowest groups where people pay tax, trying to think, let's say if you make I don't know, $15,000 to $20,000, you'll typically pay about 15% tax of that. If you make $450,000, you probably typically pay 39% of that. And this is...
Sorry, $450,000 or crowns?
If you make $450,000, you'll probably pay, because I remember it goes, it's a tax bracket that I've seen that goes from like the lowest incomes to typically like some of the very high, $450,000, you probably pay like 39-40%. But this is with the deductibles that they have. So this is sort of a netto tax. Inside that, let's say $450,000, you'll pay a lower tax on the, like say, first $200,000. Then you'll pay higher up to in the 40s. But all in all, so if you look at $450,000 and you see how much of it goes out in tax, you'll be about 38-39%.
Okay, so the first half of it, we'll say, will be at like 25%, for example.
Yeah.
And then the second half will be at a larger.
Yeah, and you will be up in the 40s, the higher you get. But all in all, if you see what chunk sort of goes out, because people sometimes think that, oh, I heard they pay like 42% tax, and they think they pay 42% tax of like everything.
Yeah.
That's not right. Okay. It starts incrementally, and it's called the stepping system. So it is sort of a stepping, system like in stairs when you have your tax.
Everything is a balance. You know what I'm saying? Everything is a balance. So it's not about giving much or taking much. It's just all about balance, Yeah. So there is a benefit in most of the program. It depends what you want as a human being. I can't, like the guy Kennedy, he said it's not what the country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. And I really love that word, because we make the country. The government, they are just there working. But it's also if the government is corrupt, then they will take the money and put it into shit holes. But if the government is really accurate, then they will take that money and invest it in all the system, in all the programs for we citizens to benefit from it. Because it's the same thing going back to them. It's just like a circle. I don't see any problem with it, but it's just like most government don't understand it, you know. The whole thing about life is like a circle. It's a rhythm.